year from CBS. Welcome to Pasadena and the 98th Tournament of Roses Parade. This is a Nabisco Family Showcase presentation with CBS host Bob Barker, Mary Fran, Ken Kercheval, and Annie Potts.
Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Bob Barker in Pasadena. The 1987 Tournament of Roses is just starting with an exciting and historic first, a parade within a parade presented by United Way. It's a combination of bands and floats so fantastic they'll take your breath away. And they're performing live directly in front of our 6 CBS cameras. Just imagine more than 400 marchers. You know, Mary, it makes you wonder if there'll be anybody left for the rest of the parade.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Mary Fran. The theme of this 1987 Rose Parade is a world of wonders, and Bob is right. This amazing presentation is itself a wonder of the world. And in that long line of marchers are bandsmen, flag bearers, and lots of drill teams. And you'll notice that each uniform represents a different color of a huge rainbow, and that is the United Way symbol of hope.
I'm Ken Kercheval with Annie Potts down at the CBS starting line. We can get a close look at all the small flowered floats moving along on both sides of the parade. Each one is designed and decorated to represent the architecture and the culture life of 20 different nation members of the international organization. There's the Windmill of Holland, for instance, the Leaning Tower for Italy, America's Statue of Liberty, and the Pagoda of Japan. See if you can recognize the others.
This mini parade serves a maxi purpose of saluting the United Way's centennial year and its millions of volunteers and service organization. And it all builds up to the exciting finale with a giant floral globe of the world mounted on a rainbow of cascading flowers. There are 232 musicians in this band.
Friends, the 98th Rose Parade is on its way.
The live CBS coverage of the 1987 Tournament of Roses Parade is broadcast coast to coast in the United States and Canada.
Is Mary Fran, that's me. And the theme this year of our parade is a world of wonders. So you're going to see along with us some marvelous sights, including, I understand, a King Kong,
That's
40
right.
feet tall.
That's right. And down with us at the starting line are Ken Kercheval of Dallas and Annie Potts, one of those designing women.
Thanks, Bob. I have never in my life been so close to a parade. Just somebody hand me a baton. I'm going to get out there and start twirling any minute.
We really are where everything in the Rose Parade makes its first entrance. The handsome horses, the booming bands, fascinating floats.
Right, Ken, so remember our motto, friends.
We're first with the best on CBS.
Most historians tend to agree on the so-called 7 wonders of the world. And I think we'd all agree on this 8th wonder of the world, Cleopatra, the Dawn of Beauty, presented by Catalina Swimwear. It's a fitting portrayal of this year's theme, A World of Wonders. This is a stunning floral production that features dramatic sphinx-like figures that rise majestically above the exotic beauty queens. Now, Cleopatra was not only a beautiful queen, but I think we all know she used all sorts of wiles to win her lovers. You remember the movie? To greet Mark Antony, Cleopatra, played by Liz Taylor, was rolled out of a rug in her birthday suit. You remember that, Bob?
I do, and it wasn't even her birthday.
Well, that didn't count. On our float today, we also have some possible heirs to Cleo's beauty crown. We have Miss Teen USA, Allison Brown, Miss USA, Christy Fitchner, and Miss Universe, Barbara Palacios Tidy.
And should we add that these beauties were all crowned on CBS, that you and I were there, Mary?
I think it would only be fair to add that.
Meet some good friends of ours from the CBS Thanksgiving Day Parade, the Burlington Teen Tour Band. Now, about that name. Burlington is their hometown in Ontario, Canada, just a few miles from Toronto. Teen, well, they're all teenage, average age 15. Tour, they've toured a lot, including 2 former trips to the Rose Parade. Band, well, directed by Don Allen. It's one of the best bands in North America. Go Teens!
Called Breaking the Ice, you can be sure they're having fun with us. Fun and fun with this crazy seagoing disaster of mirth as a lost submarine surfaces through the Antarctic ice and into a flock of surprised penguins. Watch closely for those more than 30 separate hydraulic animated movements. You think it's just a bunch of kids in there pushing things up and down and around? The mechanism designed and built by the students themselves uses a system of sophisticated valves programmed by a high-tech computer system, not to mention internal closed-circuit TV.
Gosh, just think back to those days not so long ago when the big activities at colleges were swallowing goldfish and stuffing telephone booths.
Hats off now to the real royalty of the equestrian world, these purebred Arabians in Freddie Miller's group. Included are a couple of well-known stallions, Bar Amir and one even called High Noon. All the riders are wearing authentic Arabian costumes, as you can see, to match the period, and many of them are carefully handcrafted by the riders themselves. For example, Marianne Hatfield says she spent hundreds of hours of needle-stuck fingers and late-night work to complete her regalia, and I'm sure she thinks it's worth it right now in this shining moment.
We're seeing these riders on Orange Grove Boulevard, and they will turn onto Colorado Boulevard in just a very few moments, go down to Sierra Madre and on to Victory Park, where the floats will be on display through January 3rd. And it is estimated that about 250,000 people will see the floats there in Victory Park.
I used to go down there myself, and it's wondrous.
What's that? During your vacation this summer, you missed visiting the Royal Palace of Thailand? And during the royal birthday celebration at that? Well, not to worry. The Unocal Corporation is bringing it to you, along with much more of the splendor of Thailand, one of the true wonders of the world. 2 beautifully decorated barges glide along gracefully, covered with red carnations and Chinese mums. But watch for the real action in the temple. It's the exotic dancing of Wat Thai, a dance troupe from a local Buddhist temple.
And Bob, you might notice something else. If you look closely, that dance floor is slowly moving around them. Can you see that?
I've had that happen to me often.
I think you're not alone.
The Wat Thai Buddhist temple is in North Hollywood. This parade moves at about 2.5 miles per hour. It takes about 2 hours to pass our CBS cameras. It's a beautiful float, isn't it?
Indeed.
There'll be 59 floats in the parade today, 18 awards, and we'll mention those awards when they are appropriate. Maximum size of a float is 50 feet long, 18 feet wide, 16 feet high. They average about 100,000 flowers on these floats. You know that, Mary?
I didn't know that.
About 1 million petals. I was talking with one of the pedal pushers.
If you will, pardon the pun. Yes, excuse me.
No, that's what they call these young people, the volunteers
Do they
who
really?
actually do the work on the floats.
pedal pushers.
That's right.
Appropriate.
It is.
And we have a gorgeous, perfect day here in Pasadena for
Isn't
this
it
parade.
beautiful?
Couldn't be better.
You know what that will mean. There'll be even more people on the freeways once they see this beautiful January 1st. They'll be moving out here.
And now, not a superstar, but a megastar of the sports world. Meet Pele, the distinguished Grand Marshal of the 1987 Rose Parade. Often called the most natural athlete ever, he has made soccer history by scoring his 1,000th goal in less than 14 years. There he is, blowing kisses to the crowds. Today, he's a hero beloved by millions around the globe. And when he visited with us before the parade, we asked him if he had any special message for his fans.
Yes, I have a friend all over the world, and in many places they speak Portuguese and Spanish and English too. Let's say Happy New Year in English, bom ano de 87 em português e muito bom ano em espanhol.
When we met him yesterday, I was impressed with how great he looks. He could be playing soccer right now.
I absolutely agree.
Here's his brother. I believe his name is Jair.
And he's thrilled, I think, to be seeing his brother in the parade. He is getting a wonderful standing ovation from the crowds, who obviously adore him.
So you think you know the Nashville sound and music? Well, friends, you ain't heard nothing yet till you meet this John Overton High School Marching Band from Nashville, Tennessee. 3-time winners of the State Band Championship. And wouldn't you know, included in their list of tunes for today are Tennessee Waltz and Chattanooga Choo Choo. Go, y'all, go!
Wonder, you may say, and you'd be right about these amazing firsts for the Rose Parade. These cute little critters come from the American Horse Association, and no, they are not ponies. They're true horses. First bred down to size during the 17th century. Prized pets for royalty. Later, some of them were used in coal mines. But once again, they're just pets. 30 inches is the average size. They're ideal for a child of 2 or a senior citizen for 92. Many of them come from the Mini Winnie Ranch.
They could be taken along in commercial airplanes as excess baggage. And contrary to rumor, they did not result from bathing a normal horse in hot water.
We'll have 25 equestrian units in the parade today. 10 or more breeds are represented. Ken, here comes the sweepstakes winner.
This is our first winner. It's the winner of the sweepstakes trophy for the most beautiful entry. How does that old song go, Bob? You remember that? I don't know. Maybe you wrote it. You'll find your happiness lies right under your eyes, back in your own backyard. Well, that could be the inspiration for this stunning presentation by Carnation Company, a garden full of wonders. Featured bigger and more beautiful than life are 6 world-famous butterflies. The European swallowtail, the Asian lace wing, our own monarch that migrates each winter to Mexico, the Australian blue, the African buckeye, and the South American cruiser. And just as impressive are the changes each of these go through to achieve such beauty. First, the fuzzy caterpillar, then the sleepy cocoon spun by itself, and finally the dazzling adult. Mother Nature may be slow and old-fashioned, but let's see some high-tech silicon genius punch out an awe-inspiring sight like this on his computer.
Our CBS cameras are getting some great shots of the animation on that float.
Wonderful close-ups.
Last year's Rose Queen had the honor of presenting a bouquet to President Reagan when the rose was chosen America's official flower. Now, meet this year's new queen, Kristen Harris. She's a very active senior at Arcadia High School with a high scholastic record and was chosen from 890 contestants from the Pasadena area. Before the parade, we enjoyed her charm and winning ways as she talked about the coming years.
I'd like to say may peace be with you and to really have a great New Year and hope this next New Year's is really fantastic for everybody.
She's one of the prettiest Rose Queens ever.
And you would know because
I would. I've seen all 98
you've been
of
here.
them.
No, not
I was saying hello to the first Rose Queen only today.
Yes.
She's here.
Smooth talker, but isn't she beautiful?
She is.
And her entire court. And what a thrill for a young girl.
Oh, my, yes.
Now you see it, now you don't. That's Mother Nature speaking and playing magician to create one of her wonders in the middle of a desert. A mirage, brought to life by the Oddfellows and Rebeccas in the form of a lush desert oasis with swaying palm trees and an elaborate, colorful tent. Just look at those huge, intricately woven carpets spread out onto the sand.
Boy, a roving 10-to-10 broom salesman could make a fortune here.
This wonder of our world is just a symbol of the fine work done by this charitable organization, providing care for the aged and for orphans children, plus raising funds for eye research and many other good works. That's no mirage, that's for real.
Many honors are awarded at the Rose Parade, but none more prized than to be chosen for this fine musical group, the Pasadena Community College Band. It has 58 consecutive performances on its record dating back to 1930, and several members are marching in their parents' footsteps as second-generation bandsmen. Let's listen to them. Welcome to the 1987 Tournament of Roses Parade, the first in the series of Nabisco Family Showcase presentations you will enjoy in this new year.
At the White House, our 1986 Rose Queen, Amy Richelieu, presented a bouquet to the president.
Now comes an interesting question. Which kind of rose is the most popular?
Good question, because you see, since the year 1800, we Americans have developed, believe it or not, over 25,000 different varieties.
So we're going to have a sort of mini beauty contest to select America's favorite rose based on our research.
The envelope, sir.
Thank you. The third finalist for favorite rose, Tropicana. The second finalist is Abraham Lincoln. Now for the big moment, the winner and favorite rose of Americans, as it should be for people all over the world.
Peace.
Peace. Another winner is coming down Orange Grove Boulevard, winner of the President's Trophy for the best floral presentation. This float is called A Circle of Friends. It's presented by Arco. Love makes the world go round, but so does this marvelous carousel created by Arco. The exotic mounts on this merry-go-round are animals from all parts of the globe, and they're carrying the children of people of many races, specifically members of the famous International Choir of Long Beach, California. Flowers have been imported from all 6 major continents to create the colorful bouquets on the back of each carousel animal. And what may be a rose parade first, to decorate the merry-go-round and its international menagerie, you'll find a display of 40,000 carnations in 25 different varieties. This carousel is 58 feet long. It's propelled by an intricate moving chain from which the animals hang and seem to float on the air. For you engineers in our audience, the friction drive system is a rose parade first. You can see why this one won the President's Trophy, can't you, Mary?
Oh, it's spectacular. And by the way, wouldn't it be great fun? All of those riders look like they are having the time of their life to ride on that.
I think they're going to be some
One of
very
those kids are
dizzy
probably,
children.
what, 10?
They're
11
look
years
like
old?
they're 10.
They're going to
12
remember
years
that
old.
ride, aren't
They
they?
are
Going to
having a
remember
great
that
day.
ride.
They have a 5.5-mile ride ahead of them, of course.
What a great way for them to start the new year.
Sure is. In that shot just a moment ago, you saw there is another one of the men in white. These gentlemen in the white suits that you see on Orange Grove Boulevard are members of the Tournament of Roses committee. And it's estimated that they have volunteers, that is, put in 65,000 man-hours to put this parade on the street today in Pasadena.
Well, here's a lovely sight that city dwellers just never get to enjoy, and even country folks are missing more and more today as these birds slowly disappear along with many other endangered species. This breathtaking beauty is that of the pheasant, created by the Burbank, California Tournament of Roses Association, and this is truly international because we have a brown-eared pheasant from China and an Elliott pheasant from Korea. Conservationists are working very hard to preserve these beautiful birds, and you can help, by the way, by borrowing a sound from one of their other feathered friends, honk, if you're for pheasants.
Way back in 1958, a bright young man left Illinois to settle here in Pasadena. Sorry, Illini, that was your loss and our gain. You see, this fellow named Fred W. Sodwittle went on to become a very successful attorney and now the distinguished president of the Tournament of Roses. Now, what does the president do, you ask? Well, besides overseeing and working closely with 800 active members of the association, he and his lovely wife, Donna, have traveled more than 30,000 miles as representatives of the Rose Parade. 30,000 miles, and he has only 5.5 more miles to go. And you know, I'm told that immediately following this parade, the float designers actually begin designing the floats for next year's parade, and they go to work on next year's parade.
Come to Pasadena for roses, but for tulips, go to Holland, Michigan. And while there, if you're as lucky as we are today, enjoy a performance by the Holland High School Band. Dutchman, that's their nickname, naturally. And they're proud of their room full of winning trophies as well as their Dutch ancestry, right down to the fact that they march in wooden shoes.
Well, obviously, we don't have to take Annie's word for that. We can hear them.
I am amazed that they do that. 5.5 miles in those wooden shoes can't be much fun. I read that they wear 8 pairs of socks. Maybe that helps.
Well, they would have to cushion that.
And then 8 boxes of Band-Aids.
Children are the real wonders of the world. I guess they're the same all around the globe, and yet each culture really is unique, as we find in this International Fiesta float from the city of Duarte, City of Hope. There's a birthday party here taking place in a Hispanic home, and now comes time for the exciting piñata, or donkey, if you will. Now, this is a donkey, as you can see, made out of heavy paper, and it's hung up and then it's stuffed to the brim with candy, toys, and other party favors, and then somebody says, okay, go, and all the kids start beating it with little sticks, and out pop out all kinds of goodies, and the scramble is on.
And here is the winner of the Princess Trophy for the best small float. My golly, that's a small float. All right, in this 98th Rose Parade dedicated to the wonders of the world, we now have a special world of its own, and all of the wonders. The world of magic is presented by the city of Arcadia and from Don Bent's Float Shop. It's the favorite trick of magicians everywhere. The traditional rabbit popping up from the old top hat, now blown out of all imaginable proportions. That hat is huge, and the bunny, well, here it comes. Oh boy, that's a big bunny. Watch as it rises out of that top to an amazing 30 feet it's gonna go. And then cleverly, the chap tips his own hat to the crowd, which he will do there, and disappears.
That's a very big wabbit there. Actually, I bet this is all done with mirrors by Wizard.
Well, getting back to the old magic, the part of that act I always like best is the beautiful girl with the long legs that assists in black tights. I hope she never disappears.
Is your wife here with you today, Ken?
After that last
I
comment.
said that, didn't I? Thanks a lot, Bob. Thanks a lot. But she's not, she can't hear me, though. There's a happy Mr. Football headed our way, a float loaded with noisy cheerleaders from the Big Ten. Well, ho-hum, they're back again. The Wolverines of Michigan, they're making their 12th appearance in the Rose Bowl. But look out, Big M. There's a group called the Sun Devils from Arizona State that's ready to make things hot for you. We say good luck to both of you.
It's the University of Michigan band, and that rousing tune they're playing, the Victors, what else? And they play it after every Wolverine touchdown, so you better believe they know it by heart. The Victors has an interesting history. Written by a U of M student, Louis Eldel, back in 1898, was played the following year by the greatest bandmaster of them all, John Philip Sousa, who called it the best college march ever written.
Rose Parade will continue.
Ballet dancers, square dancers, even limbo dancers. Now, here's something new and exciting, lion dancers, and they seem to be the main attraction on this float from Singapore. The float features a dazzling pagoda during one of those rare celebrations like the Hindu Deepavali or the Buddhist Holiday of Lights, representing Singapore's dominant cultures, Chinese, Malay, and Indian. Other eye-catching details, dancers in native costumes, flag dancers, and these clever fellows balancing 42-foot-long poles. The hostesses are wearing the traditional native sarong kabaya.
Who cares if it's a kabaya, so long as they look like that. Oh, my.
This is the winner of the Isabella Coleman Trophy for the most unusual and unique entry.
Gorgeous. Oh, the pole, the pole, the...
Whoa!
Oh, they mean to be doing that. Well, that's...
Watch it.
That's amazing. I thought they were losing it.
I think they have to fly it back up kind of like a kite. It's just enormous.
I'll be glad when it goes back up. There we go. All right. Well done.
That flag was just missing you down there, wasn't it, Ken?
I'll be glad when it moves on. 5 miles of carrying that flag. Can you imagine that, Bob?
I can't, no.
Oh.
And doing tricks with it.
Maybe they pass it around.
I think they
hope
do.
so.
They almost passed it right over our heads.
Some of those fellows look pretty stout.
The crowd loves it.
Getting a big hand from the crowd as well, they should, for their acrobatics while carrying that huge flag.
Now, these are what Mary and I were trying to figure out, those lion dancers, whether those are, if there are 2 men in there and that man in the rear is actually bent over for all the time that he's in this parade, he will never straighten up.
I don't think so.
You gotta love a parade.
He won't love another one.
Not for a while, anyway.
Someone will say parade, he'll say, oh, no, not me.
Well, I don't know how big this float is, but I'm pretty sure it weighs at least 20,000 calories. It's called Sweet Switzerland, and it's presented by the Bakery, Confectionery, and Tobacco Workers Union. Now, I ask you folks, how sweet can Switzerland get? There's a little Swiss chalet gingerbread house that must list on the market for at least 8,000, and I'm talking about calories. And you kids who are watching at home, just move up to your TV screen for a closer look right now, because those mountains are actually upside down ice cream cones. Yum!
It's true, there's a long history of brave knights seeking to slay evil dragons, ferocious-looking beasts like this colorful fire eater created by the city of San Bernardino, California. I'll bet he could gobble up a gaggle of medieval knights just for an appetizer. But it seems we've got the situation all wrong, friends. The dragon is actually supposed to be a symbol of longevity, riches, virtue, and harmony, not to mention beauty, in the persons of the float riders Miss San Bernardino, Miss Mexico, and Miss Black History. Wow. Beauty.
This lovely antique carriage is drawn by 8 powerful Belgian draft horses, and they're transporting a big man in Pasadena, not to mention his equally imposing family, wife Barbara, and their 6 children. This is John C. Crowley, Mayor of Pasadena. Besides being chief executive of this charming city, John Crowley is also a big man in many other important organizations. Happy New Year, Your Honor. There are literally scores of people responsible for the success of the Rose Parade, and we here at CBS want to thank them all for their fine cooperation, and our special thanks to our liaisons, Cole Williams, Truman Stivers, and Ed Smith, and to Bud Greist, chairman of the television committee. Also, Bill Flynn, Frosty Foster, and Jack French. And happy 1987 to our executive producer, Mike Gargiulo.
Indeed.
That's one way to keep a job, right?
You noticed I chimed right in with you.
I beg your pardon?
You noticed I chimed in right behind you.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, me too. East, west, north, south, we're able to enjoy fascinating features in the Rose Parade from all over the world. Right now, we have the Far East, represented by the well-known Noto Youth Marching Band from Suzu City, Japan. These are top-ranking young musicians who have been selected from 6 different high schools. They have won many awards in their native country.
They march to a special traditional drum beat with a very intriguing name, Gojinjo Daiko.
Good for you. I wouldn't dare ask you to repeat that.
Well, I don't know what I've said, and I don't know whether I've said it correctly, but
sounds good to me.
Someone from Missouri told me that's what it was. Brands proudly sponsors the CBS Tournament of Roses Parade, a Nabisco Family Showcase presentation.
Annie Potts.
Who plays Mary Jo on the CBS comedy series Designing Women. And I'm Cliff Barnes on Dallas sometimes.
Well, you've also hosted the Cotton Bowl Parade and the Easter Parade and now the Rose Parade.
Yeah, I'm bucking for the title of the host with the most anyway.
I love this popcorn. Where'd you get this?
Good, I raised it.
What do you mean, you popped it?
No, I mean I raised it. My company, Old Capitol Popcorn, grew this.
No kidding. Or maybe you can tell us how popcorn pops.
I can tell you, it's the moisture that left in the kernel. And when the heat's applied, the moisture expands and flows open the kernel.
Thank you. I know now more about popcorn than I ever wanted to know.
Well, you asked me.
And now, back to the parade.
Now then, when you really want to get things moving, down on the city of La Canada Flint Ridge in California, this float, which is the winner of the Judge's Special Trophy for the most whimsical entry, is called a Voyage of Friendship, and it has a very unusual crew. It has a penguin for a captain, a pelican, and a flamingo providing the paddle power. And oh yes, don't let me forget there's a baby penguin hitching a free ride. I understand that the choice entree for tonight's dinner on board is the seafood platter, so look out. You know, last year, La Canada won first prize for animation. So once again, La Canada, a prize winner. Our congratulations in the 1987 Rose Parade.
I'd guess most spectators of the Rose Parade today have traveled an average of a few hundred miles, but how about a trip of 15,000 miles? That's the distance from Pasadena to Amman, Jordan, the home base of this world-famous Royal Jordanian Armed Forces Band. That's a handsome and colorful group, I gotta say. And these are high-trained professional musicians who have performed, won top prizes in 13 different countries, including England, France, and twice previously in America. Look at that. All that in bagpipes, too.
Understands perfectly at a mere glance, a touch, a word, or a call, and executes all demands.
Sounds like the description of a perfect wife, doesn't it?
Actually, these are some of the highly developed qualities of the Mustang Napoleon, ridden by Benny, Marshal of the Martinez family group of Charros. Charro is Spanish for cowboy, and they're carrying on a proud Mexican heritage.
From Santa Ana, California, here's the winner of the Pioneers Trophy for the best depiction of the romance of California. The city of Santa Ana is celebrating its proud Hispanic heritage with this colorful float featuring larger-than-life sculptured figures in the traditional Quetzal dance that goes way back before pre-conquest days. The native dance costumes come from 4 different regions of Mexico: Quetzal of Puebla, Vaquerias of Yucatan, Tapatía and Charro from Jalisco, and Tehuana of Oaxaca. Notice the woman gracefully flaring her skirt to catch the eye of a charro or cowboy. In this simple but significant gesture, centuries of life and culture could be summed up in one simple song. El amor hace el mundo rodar. Love makes the world go round. You believe that, Mary?
I do believe that, as a matter of fact, in Spanish, in English, in any language.
Say Jewel of the Nile, and you think it's one of those new action-packed movies? But from the city of Glendale, California, we have a handsome replica of an elaborate barge that might have carried along the Nile the one and only Jewel of the Nile, Queen Cleopatra. This big boat, too, would be powered by both sail and banks of oarsmen, and on each corner a large Egyptian sculpture to help guide the way. Under the ornate canopy in the back, we do have a real queen, Miss Glendale, and her court. Who knows, along the route, there might be a real modern-day Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, eager to get on board and make history, so to speak.
As this float moves along the parade route, you might expect some folks in the crowd to yell, "Who? Arizona State University?" You see, as winners of the 1986 Pac-10 title, these strangers are making their first appearance in the Rose Bowl, but a big group of loyal rooters followed them to Pasadena, and you can hear those loyal rooters all around us right now. They're here to cheer their home team. In fact, I'm told there's nothing left back in Arizona today, Mary, but cactus and a couple of coyotes.
That may not be true, Bob, though, because look what's coming here. The pride of the Southwest. That's what they call this fine marching band from Arizona State University. This is their first appearance, and we welcome them in the Rose Parade since way back in 1936 when they were called at that time the Bulldogs. By the way, you'll want to keep a lookout for the group's mascot. I understand his friends call him Sparky, but he has no friends because he's the devil. That is the Sun Devil.
exactly what they hoped. You see those flags in front of the bleachers on the other side of the street? Those are from different countries because of the foreign entries. They're becoming more and more frequent in the Rose Parade now. Rand McNally and Company has given new meaning to the old expression when knighthood was in flower. Called Camelot, their float features 4 huge horses used by the fabled knights of King Arthur's wondrous Round Table.
And let's take a moment to marvel at the flowering here. More than 220,000 white hothouse-grown chrysanthemums were used to create their colorful coats.
Also keep in mind that the basic concept of such large equine monsters is based on accurate history. We think of a knight such as Sir Lancelot mounting a dainty horse like Black Beauty, but the armor worn into battle often weighed more than the warrior himself. So his charger had to have the size and the strength of a Clydesdale. And Mary, another advantage, when he was going out at night, there was plenty of room to take his lady fair.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
That float is so beautiful. My.
You have something truly unique from the city of Alhambra, California. It has not 1 but 2 adopted sister cities. Granada, Spain has been a close relative for 25 years, if you will, and that's because this city got its name from Granada, represented by its colorful court of lions. The welcoming gate is reproduced from another sister city, Sin Chu Wang in Taiwan, and many Taiwanese have chosen Alhambra as their new home. All are joined by the charming Bridge of Friendship.
If you do any research into the so-called 7 wonders of the world, you'll find how many animals have disappeared from the face of the earth. And it's this deep concern for the preservation of other treasures that inspired Bank of America to recreate here one of nature's fast disappearing wonders, the majestic Bengal tiger and her cute cubs. And it's their hope we will help protect and preserve natural wilderness areas and not cover the entire earth with concrete. You must be impressed with the tiger's dazzling coat. In order to produce it, the sponsor had to gather almost all the orange marigolds grown in the United States. In many ways, this marvelous beast is a natural wonder. Now, let's watch his hide here. It's supposed to ripple. Can you tell? Is it rippling?
Are you watching for the rippling?
I'm watching the monitor and the float, too. His tail's moving. I can see that.
Yes, indeed, it is. And his head seems to be moving.
Beautiful butterfly.
Here's the Rangers marching band from Forest Lake, Minnesota, with a long record of outstanding achievements dating back to 1928. To get here today, the Rangers had a unique fundraising gimmick, a public weigh-in. Each person who stepped on the scales donated 2 cents for each pound weighed. One fisherman hand-carried his canoe, but the winner, our own Rose Parade president, Fred Sodwittle, while visiting Forest Lake. He tipped the scales to an amazing 600 pounds while carrying a sousaphone, a bass drum, and a suitcase filled with rocks marked Pasadena or bust.
This fascinating float from the city of Los Angeles is designed for baseball fans. There's Tommy Lasorda to prove it. It helps if you're a Dodger fan, in fact. The huge hitter, standing in a surprisingly good replica of Dodger Stadium, is swinging on a pitch from the player in the rear. There are 9 dramatic moving floral panels celebrating highlights of Dodger history. The great Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale's scoreless innings, Manny Mota's all-time pinch-hitting record, and many others here. That's the past. We want the pennant. That's what we want, the pennant.
I'll echo that.
This one is incredible from down here.
Through history, there have been many fascinating different cultures, but none as colorful as the one brought to us now by Trans-America Life Companies, Aztec Land of Wonders. The float is dominated by a giant, impressive native warrior wearing a fantastic, colorful costume and kneeling in a solemn ceremony. Perched around him are large, amazing macaws in shades of color that defy description. And reigning over this whole scene of ancient beauty is a modern monarch, last year's Rose Queen, Aimée Lynn Richelieu, and with her is float designer Paul Rodriguez and an Aztec prince, Mario Araya. That is a beauty.
Isn't that incredible?
Isn't that something, Annie?
Look at the mosaic work on the back of this here.
Right. Those
I
are
hope the
leaves?
cameras
Do you
get a
suppose those
close-up
are
of that.
leaves? Wow. I mean, the sculpting, the design of those things is just... Have you ever been to a parade here before?
No, I haven't. This
I
is
haven't
my
either.
first.
I'm stunned. I'm having so much fun.
It's
Why?
we have such a great seat down here.
There's a good shot of those flags I was mentioning.
Yes, I'll say. Flanking the band. And who says they don't grow things big in Texas? You just take this Cardinal Marching Band from Harlingen, Texas. 250 members strong, the Big Red has captured the hearts of crowds everywhere, including those during their first appearance here at the 1981 Rose Parade, and we sure welcome them back.
I think I recognize a couple of those kids.
From the last time they were here.
Their horns are bigger now. They've grown.
Originally and officially, it was called the Troop B 4th Regiment of the U.S. Cavalry, and it served with honor at Fort Wauchua, Arizona, during the 1880s. Today, Marshal Ramon Peludo leads the unit and its third Rose Parade appearance, carrying a proud tradition.
Ready or not, friends, we're getting a visit from the stork. Thanks to Kiwanis International, and what an imposing critter he is. Suspended by only its beak, delivering that bundle of joy. New babies of 1987, and it carries them over famous landmarks of the world. Almost as amazing as the set of talking clocks, first seen in the United States today. Each one plays music, and if you ask nicely, it'll tell you the officially correct time. Handy to have, especially when you're expecting a visit from the store.
You know, that watch was accurate. It is just about 9:30 California time
That's
right
now. Everything's official here in this
Well,
Rose Parade.
the Tournament of Roses Committee keeps this parade so tightly on schedule that it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they knew they'd be on television about 9:30 and did that deliberately. Do you suppose they did, Mary? Do you suppose they did?
Well, gee, Bob. When I was a kid, oh, what a wonderful time that was, when imagination played such a big part in all our young lives. Well, when I was a kid, you know, I used to dream about going to parades, and here I am hosting the Rose Parade. Well, the Portland Rose Festival has taken advantage of all the wonders of childhood to create this splendid Renaissance horse. The majestic steed is draped in colorful blankets, and it carries a very precious cargo. Members of the International Children's Choir. By the way, the Portland Rose Festival, Bob, is the oldest Rose Parade entry outside California, dating back to the early 1900s, I'm told.
How often we take the good things for granted. This Salvation Army Band, for instance, now making its 67th journey down Colorado Boulevard.
Great to be here with my handsome co-host, Bob Barker. Of course, I always watch you on The Price is Right.
Always. I'll bet the last time was August 1983.
That is not true. Don't you dare say such words, although I have been pretty busy. You know, recently on Newhart, we just celebrated the filming of our 100th episode.
I know. Time magazine gave it a whole page and a picture of you and Bob.
Yes, we
Now
were
listen,
all
don't you
very
forget that this year you and I will be hosting Miss USA and Miss Universe again.
And I'm looking forward to that. But before that, I do have an appearance coming up on a big news feature program, but it is on another network. Now, what do you think the chances are of my getting that mentioned here right now?
About 2020.
Fair enough. Back to our parade.
King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world. If there were an eighth wonder of the world, you'd be sure to see it here in the Rose Parade. So you folks at home, move up to the television set and watch closely for Who Else? King Kong, presented by the American Honda Company. And this Kong is really the king. 6 months in the making at Rick Chapman's Festival Arts. His Majesty is 34 feet tall, actually holds a young woman in his hand and lifts her 2.5 stories high. Now, that's what it says here in the information that I have, but as you can see, King Kong ain't standing up.
No, he's
ain't
not.
holding no lady up,
Did he
and
take a
ain't
fall,
doing these
or,
things. Well, I don't know.
Apparently,
I don't
Kong
know
has
whether-
a little lower back problem right now.
That's right, Annie. Kong has a lower back problem.
We saw him standing up down
Yeah,
here
that was
only a
working
few minutes
just a few
ago.
minutes
What-
ago,
So
right
So he'll
before
be
the
up again,
start.
I'm sure.
What, was he standing up
Yeah, he
earlier?
was, and he's holding a lovely thing in his hand.
Here's a good question. If dinosaurs were such plotting, dim-witted creatures, how could they have dominated life on Earth for more than 150 million years? Anyhow, the community of
Here he
Irvine,
is. Excuse me,
California.
Ken, excuse me. King Kong is standing now, and he is holding the lovely young thing who is actress Suzanne Trimble. There he is. That old guy was faking it, you know? He just wanted to do something spectacular, and he did. Now he is 34 feet tall, and look at the girl in his hand there, and she actually controls the arm movement. Look at that. That's great.
And the crowds are going crazy
They
seeing
are.
him rise up like that. I think that was more of a thrill than seeing him come by straight up.
Well, I'm excited, too, because I was so disappointed that he was lying down there with that lower back problem. Isn't that a great float? I'm sorry, Ken. Go ahead.
Where are we? Tell me where we
were
are.
talking
You're
about
back there with your
dinosaurs.
South Pasadena float.
Oh, the which one?
The dinosaur float.
The dinosaur one?
Yeah.
Right. It's amazing world of prehistoric wonders, and you can ooh and ah over a half a dozen of those fantastic critters, but don't expect me to come close to pronouncing their names, except for maybe the saber-toothed cat.
Oh. 54. No, I'm about to, though. Abracadabra. The title of this intriguing float, produced and presented by the all-volunteer effort of the South Pasadena Tournament of Roses Association. And did you know that this familiar hocus-pocus words actually appears in the dictionary? It's true. For many ages was what?
The U.S. Marine Corps Band. This is a composite group made up of fine musicians from the 1st Marine Division at Camp Pendleton, the Marine Headquarters in San Diego, and the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing at El Toro, California. Now, believe it or not, the 1st Marine Corps was formed way back on November 10th, 1775. And as long as there's been a Marine Corps, there's been a Marine Band.
Does it seem to you these Marine Corps bandsmen's instruments are just a little bit more highly polished than the others?
Yeah.
I think,
They're
and of
pretty
course
sure.
they would do that on their own.
Sure.
Just dedication.
Here's the winner of the Grand Marshal's Trophy for the most creative design. Should I continue here with Giorgio? Okay, here we go. I guess I should have prepared myself with some elocution lessons before trying to describe this next float, but, well, I'll do my best. A World of Elegance, presented by Giorgio of Beverly Hills. Featured are classical statues and fountains reminiscent of European grandeur like the world-famous Apollo in the Garden of Versailles. We also have living beauty and elegance displayed by 8 models wearing unique gowns created especially for the float by 8 of the most celebrated international couturiers. To name them would shake any lady of fashion's bank balance to its very foundation.
Well, as the old saying goes, beauty is as beauty spends.
I think that's a relatively new saying, don't you?
What?
Beauty is as beauty spends.
Each year, more and more American tourists are traveling to China to enjoy its exotic wonders. Today in the Rose Parade, First Interstate Bank is bringing some of them right to you. A lovely pagoda with lighted lanterns and colorful wrought ceramic urns. But the real treasure is the family of cunning giant pandas. Just look at that mama in the swing cuddling her cute baby. You know, enjoy them now, because the unfortunate fact is that the giant panda is becoming an endangered species, even in such a vast country as China. Now, it seems pandas eat only the tender shoots of bamboo trees, and bamboo forests are steadily being replaced by civilization. Conservationists, they're working on the problem, so maybe help will be on the way soon. That's a beauty.
As every school kid knows, the tree George Washington cut down was a cherry. But did you know that the gray horse Washington rode during the Revolutionary War was half Arabian? Don't ask me which half. Anyhow, the handsome horses in this equestrian group, marshaled by Bill Stack, are all, that is, purebred Arabians. Aren't they beauties?
This is considered the most valuable collection of horses in any event in the world.
Ages before the Wright brothers made their first feeble liftoff into space, men have dreamed about emulating birds. Here's one famous example created by Fan Steel, a fantasy of wondrous flight. 2 magic carpets waft over greater downtown Baghdad with its picturesque gateways, domes, and minarets. All this the result of float designer Jim Barrowman's imagination. Those flyers look really surprised that they're actually moving through the air, and the carpets do really seem to be flying. As you know, this was just one of the fables told by poor Scheherazade, who was ordered to keep telling stories for 1,001 nights, or else have her head chopped off.
Gosh, those ancient agents would do anything to hang on to a client, huh?
Nabisco Brands wishes you a healthy and happy new year. This Nabisco family showcase will continue in a moment.
Yeah. Here's a good question. If dinosaurs were such plodding, dim-witted creatures, how could they have dominated life on Earth for more than 150 million years? Anyhow, the community of Irvine, California isn't trying to answer any question. It just wants to show us the amazing world of prehistoric wonders. You can ooh and ah at those half-dozen fantastic critters, but don't expect me to come close to pronouncing their names, except maybe for the saber-toothed cat.
And every kid today knows the gigantic brontosaurus and the fierce Tyrannosaurus Rex, and how about the spiny Stegosaurus? And the exotic gardens are lovely with ginger and therium, and here we go again, heliconia.
How'd you do that? Whatever happened to just plain old roses?
Friends, the parade seems to have slowed down for a moment, so for newcomers to this great event, let's look at some highlights of last year's parade. This is another fine mesh you got us into, the well-known line from 2 kings of comedy, Laurel and Hardy, on Culver City's fine float that won the trophy for best depiction of the 1986 Rose Parade's theme, A Celebration of Laughter. Harpo Marx has the last laugh, but no lines, of course. The Singapore Airlines float is usually famous for its exotic beauty, but this year they monkeyed around and won the sweepstakes trophy. Those exotic fans made a fine background for the monkey shines. Arco went crazy with a clock factory on wheels. The real time is anybody's guess, with this crazy conglomeration of clocks, spinning hands, and swinging pendulums. Let's just say it's cuckoo, but it won the Grand Marshal's trophy. Take a gander at us, said the city of Long Beach, having some pun with us. A water skiing goose? Well, maybe. But fooled by flying fish? They say the governor almost fell off his chair laughing and awarded them his trophy. We're back live now with our parade, the 98th, that is, the parade of January 1st, 1987. And the kilty costumes of this impressive marching band from Riverview High School in Sarasota, Florida, weren't picked just because they look good in some catalog. The bright red jackets and McDonald tartans are worn in honor of that city's Scottish founders, and if you keep your ears peeled, you'll notice the distinctive sound of their special bagpipe section. They're one of 22 bands in the parade this year. 4,500 musicians, chosen from hundreds of applicants, of course. Riverview High School Kilty Band from Sarasota, Florida. They've come a per piece. You know, they choose these bands well in advance. They choose them far enough in advance for these young people to raise the funds to make the trip. And they do all sorts of things, of course.
And they come up with wonderful, unique ideas for fundraising,
oh, they
too.
do. They do. There are 7 regular bands in the parade and 15 that are chosen from about 200 applications.
Well, we've read about it, we've talked about it, and we've heard lots of tall tales about it. But until today, that is until this very moment, we have never actually seen it. But you're going to now. Here comes the critter at this very moment, presented by Baskin-Robbins. Who is it, you ask? You can't guess? Well, it's Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, and Monster is most appropriate because Nessie is 95 feet long, lifts her head 40 feet high. She looks around to see if the way is clear ahead, and brother, it had better be. Then she lowers her head and she looks around for a few laughs from the crowd, and she's getting plenty of those from this big crowd out here in Pasadena today. Nessie is really a fun-loving monster and certainly very colorful. She's covered with more than 200,000 beautiful flower blossoms.
How are they going to get her back to Scotland?
Now, that's their problem, isn't it? It's just ours, too.
Right now, they're trying to get her to Victory Park.
That's right. One step at a time.
Look at all those folks over there across the street from us. Those seats are sold out about 2 weeks in advance. They have about 1 million people here, it is estimated, in Pasadena along the parade route. This is being seen by satellite in 28 countries. About 250 million people will see it on foreign television. In the United States, I think they estimate the audience at about 150 million.
a great event for the world to enjoy. Lots of fun.
Our next parade float is the winner of the Queen's Trophy for the most effective use of roses. Now, you folks at home, if you've just joined the Rose Parade, go get the kids, get them in here, and let them see this float. In Summer Fair in the Valley of the Clyde, the city of St. Louis celebrates its famous team of Clydesdale horses. Their blankets follow authentic tartan patterns. But listen, something new was added last May, and it holds forth in all its little glory on the float. It's a Clydesdale colt. Now get this baby weighs 650 pounds. Already it's got those huge feet that belong to champions. The float itself depicts a community festival of music, dance, and a horse sale. And don't miss the ruins of the old abbey deep in the colorful heather there. The float was designed by Ev Fish.
Women has taken my old spot down at the CBS starting line, and that's a very exciting place to be because you're so close to the floats. Have you ever hosted a parade before, Annie?
No, the last time I had anything to do with a float was about 20 years ago when I rode on a float. As you can see from this old picture I think they have. I was 14, I believe.
Were you the queen?
No, I was just in the court. I think we used up the entire supply of chicken wire and toilet paper in my little town of Franklin, Kentucky.
Yeah, you're from a small town, right?
I am. Franklin, Kentucky.
Well, my hometown was so small, I was 9 years old before I realized the name of it wasn't Resume Speed.
That's small.
That is small. Well, you've come a long way to Pasadena. And I sure like that jacket you're wearing.
And this was made special for me today by my friends Carolyn Parker and Robin Eve. It's got champagne for the new year and flowers for the parade. I think I could almost qualify as a float myself.
Nice friends, nice friends. Back to the parade.
Oh, hi. Did you happen to be one of the lucky people who attended the glamorous wedding of Sarah Ferguson to handsome Prince Andrew Ken?
Nope.
Well, here are 4 impressive gentlemen who did. Members of the Royal Guard, also known as the Queen's own hussars.
Well, what about their horses?
Well, I heard that actually they borrowed these from the Santa Anita racetrack.
Are you kidding me? So please, hey, look, nobody yell, they're off, or the hussars will wind up in Tijuana.
Annie, here's the float from the city of Torrance, Bully for the British.
Yes, this clever float, Bully for the British, is the city of Torrance's tribute to England for her culture, customs, and her role in history, and is the winner of the Governor's Trophy for the best city entry. What a colorful, colossal canine this is, with fiercely funny face even down to its typically bloodshot eyes. He wears a costume from the 4th Royal English Cavalry, holds the Union Jack flag in his mouth, and moves his loose lips and grumpy head from side to side, topped by the same fancy helmet worn by the Queen's hussars.
All I can say is better keep him on a long leash.
Very long.
Occidental College is a close neighbor of ours, just over the hill from Pasadena and Eagle Rock, but it's coming to us today in a stately, fanciful galleon called Ship of Learning. The craft is formed by oversized tools of learning, a big book, drafting equipment, pens, and a podium. The mast is a paintbrush carrying a sail with the college motto, Occidens Proximos. Now, did I pronounce that correctly from the Latin, Occidens Proximus?
You certainly did. I have a sister who teaches Latin, and I absolutely know that you pronounce it.
Go call her, will you please?
Oh, I'll get her right on the hotline,
Well,
the red phone.
Translated from Latin, it means the west approaches the east. But this old-style galleon is right up to the moment in high tech. Notice the big computer screen that flashes out Happy New Year World in 8 different languages. There it is. The student body of Occidental includes undergraduates from 30 countries outside the United States.
Well, we've all read about the fabled Hanging Gardens of Babylon, but did you ever stop to imagine what they might have been like?
Mary, with everything overhead, did they pull down weeds instead of pull up weeds?
Oh, Bob, please, not now. Let's just move right along. Yeah. The International Florist Delivery Association has now given us a fabulous floating recreation of its idea of that seventh wonder of the world. The gardens cascade down from ornate tiers of anthurium, roses, orchids. Graceful reed boats filled with flowers glide through lagoons of exotic water lilies. And by the way, this is the winner of the Director's Trophy for Excellence of Craftsmanship. It's easy to understand why, just looking at the float from our vantage point. In the ancient Babylonian tradition, the statue of a very handsome centurion stands guard over all of this mind-boggling beauty.
On second thought, no weed would have dared grow there.
Now you're talking. Out in Ohio, they say they grow them big, and they grow them good, too. And we're talking about the bands. Take these Spartans from Boardsman High School, one of the Midwest's outstanding musical groups. They also grow them loud, don't they? As well it should be.
I'm glad Ken and Annie are down there and we're up here.
Thanks, Bob.
They sound great, though. 270 teenagers, and that includes their own dance instructor. They've also appeared, you know, in our own CBS's Thanksgiving parade.
Or has it become colder?
I think it has become a little chillier.
We've lost our sunshine.
It's a little overcast at the moment.
Probably all the way down to what? 60 degrees in the Midwest.
Yeah.
They'll say, are you kidding?
Are you kidding us? Really? Yeah, this is quite a treat for many band members who participate in parades and events, you know, all over the United States, and many times in extremely freezing climates or very, very hot, and they're in those uniforms. They come out here, and it is quite wonderful weather for them.
There's another nice shot of those flags that we mentioned earlier. See them?
Yes.
They have a
There's an
3-year
even closer
plan to make the parade an international event. And as a matter of fact, that was the basis for the selection of Pele as the Grand Marshal this year. They wanted someone who was known worldwide and had a good image, which he certainly does worldwide. Now here's the winner of the Humor Trophy for the best display of humor. It's the Dr. Pepper Company's float. They've won many, many honors over the years. An old legend has it that medieval tailors used inchworms to measure a customer for a new suit. If the person was very tall, of course, they used 1.5-inch worms. You understand, Mary? Now, that's the old legend. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Pepper has here an inchworm that measures 65 feet. A colorful critter he is, too, all dolled up in traveling clothes, map in hand, ready to start a slow-moving picture called Around the World in 80 Years. At this pace, he'll need more than that to reach the end of the parade route. Now, as we learned in school, the inchworm is actually a larva that turns into a fast-flying moth. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but then you're a fountain of information for me.
Someone compiled it for me. I started to point out, there, look at those. See the inchworm's feet?
Display of life in the United States. This is the New World discovery, and one great thing about the Rose Parade, it does give us many colorful opportunities to catch up on the past history of this great land. Here, for instance, we have a stunning recreation of an important New World discovery presented by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. A wonderful close-up there. They are celebrating 100 years of experience, and of course, who's going to dispute their figures? We have here the New World of 1673. Featuring the famous French explorers Marquette and Joliet as they made their way up the Mississippi into the Louisiana Territory. Now on this float, 2 Melaleuca bark canoes glide gently over water of blue and white iris and river rapids of orchids.
Now somebody must have taken a side trip, Mary, because those pebbles in the river are Idaho potatoes.
They are?
Yes.
Being from the Midwest, I should have known that.
Of course. Don't you know an Idaho potato from how far away are we? No, I read down here that they are Idaho potatoes, and that's how they make the stream look as it does. All of the animals there have been spayed or neutered to help control the animal population. Look at that guy. Did you read about the moose? Well, we'll talk about it in a moment.
Okay.
A Jack in the Box, that's right. Every kid in the family got one for Christmas, I'll bet. But now, here's a Jill in the Box. Yeah, actually, an elegant senorita holding 2 colorful maracas ready to go into her Latin dance. She's all part of the wonderful world of Puerto Rico. And I mean, she really pops out of that box. She's, what, 35 feet in the air. The box itself is a beauty. It's decorated with enticing scenes of tropical islands and 2 other lovers, senoritas, joining in the celebration. And you can't miss the giant hibiscus, and that's the national flower of Puerto Rico.
Imagine the size of a lady who could wear one of those behind her ear.
Oh, boy.
The 98th Rose Parade has been the first in a series of Nabisco Family Showcase presentations we will be bringing you throughout the year.
Thank you, Coach Schembechler. His New Year's days have not been very happy in the Rose Bowl. This is his 8th trip. He's won only once, lost 6 times in Pasadena, trying to reverse the trend as the Pac-10 underdogs the last 5 years, and again this year, the Pac-10 has been the winner of this game, and Big Ten has escaped with only 2 wins since 1970. 1915, Arizona State, and this is Darrell Harris. Good defense by Messner and Harris. Billy Harris, 56, the nose guard.
When you use a slanting defense, you hope you guess right. On this last play, watch Billy Harris, the nose tackle, and he's slanting out into the play. But they have a chance to drive right into the blocker, move himself outside, and of course that's the hole that Arizona State wanted, and it's Billy Harris at the bottom of the stack.
No gain, 2nd and 10, and timeout for Van Raaphorst. He didn't like the defense for the play.
Dan Deerdorf, who's now a broadcaster, went back to do the banquet back at Michigan. He said, look, he said, I'm 38 years old. I got 3 kids. He said, I got a job. I travel the world. He said, I'm still scared to death of Bo.
He'll get your respect. And in a way, that's part of that whole parentage, player to head coach.
And this is when he really gets tough. Things are not going well. He'll be growling on that sideline.
2nd and 10 after the timeout by Arizona State, and it's Paul Day, one of the little running backs for the Sun Devils, and he earns 4. Pays for it as well. Todd Schulte, part of the twin linebacker combination, identical twins, Todd and Tim Schulte, and David Arnold, number 15 on the tackle. Day's first carry of the game.
Again, I think good to mention the fact, the difference in the way these 2 coaches approach. They're switching of players in and out. Arizona State constantly running people in and out of the game. And at the end of this game, there's no question they will have more energy, more freshness than the Michigan Wolverines.
Aaron Cox, and a first down at the Michigan 42. 22 more for the Arizona State passing game.
Amazing how emotion can turn the flavor of a game, establish and lose the confidence. We saw early in the game how Van Raaphorst was having a hard time getting to some of those receivers who were open. That timing so far in this second half, excellent. When the ball needs to be there, it's there.
5'10", 175-pound Junior Cox with another catch, his 6th. Van Raaphorst sliding out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Dieter Herron was on the chase. Arizona State, the last 4 possessions, has kicked a field goal, scored a touchdown, and then scored another here on the first possession of the second half.
That's exactly what you were alluding to. Thinking with Harry Coyle, our director, and Larry Cirillo, our producer, down the truck. A great job of putting this game out to all those who are watching and listening.
Paul Day into the clear for a moment, and then someone slammed the door on him. Day, a senior from Kearney High School down in San Diego, California. David Arnold and Doug Mallory made the hit. Both these running backs, Harris and Day, are around the 175-pound range. They're slick but not overpowering. Arizona State over 50% all year in third downs, 8 for 11 today. Incomplete to the tight end Stein Koss.
Todd Schulte, number 41, inside out, just waiting for Koss to break inside. Put a helmet on him just as he got his fingers on that football. Kind of hard to catch when you're being jolted that way.
Apparently, John Cooper, fourth down, is not going to kick the ball. He's at the 35, too long for a field goal, too close to the goal line to punt it, and he's going to gamble on 4th and 4.
Well, we saw Bo gamble earlier. Here's John Cooper taking a chance. Now they're trying to draw him off sides. Okay.
There comes the delay of game.
All right. Well, good coaching. He said, all right. He said, we tried. It didn't work. Now we'll kick the ball.
5-yard penalty would have been a first down.
Good discipline by the Michigan defense. I'm sure they were more ready for that than I was.
And now the punting team on the field. Mike Shue, who averaged 39 yards a kick this year.
Shue has kicked 17 times dead inside the 20-yard line, so he's been good at pooching the ball.
Well, he just got that one away and gets a wonderful roll. And Arizona State downs it at the 2-yard line. 37-yard punt inside the 5, no return.
What a great name for a kicker. Shue.
S-C-H-U-H. Nearly 3. Check that. Gerald White. Gerald White and Stacy Harvey makes the stop. 7. So he sent his big 6'8" wide receiver downfield, and Anthony Parker made the defensive play, and that gets Bo out of that serious end of the field. 3rd and 1, and a play action by Van Raphorst. Open and a drop. Bruce Hill, who has made some sensational catches. That was one of the easier ones.
Maybe the easiest one he had all day, and that'll burn you. Hill was a defensive back for a couple of years before they moved him over to receiver. Here he is in isolation. He's got time, drives his man off. Good job. He's sitting there by himself. That lost the concentration. Ducked his head back over his shoulder.
Harry, the kick by Shue to Eric Campbell. 40. And a good return to the 46-yard line. And Michigan at midfield has the ball after a 41-yard punt. And Campbell's 11-yard return. Just under 11 minutes remain. Arizona State by.
Harbaugh does have the advantage of getting stopped a little bit before he wraps. Well, he didn't either. He just wrapped it in there, saw the receiver come open, and fired that football. That is an excellent pass.
Jamie Morris with a block on McClendon gave Harbaugh some extra time. Wishbone. And Morris on a delay, trying to buy time with speed.
Ooh.
Greg Clark.
Wow, what a play.
Back into his own backfield, and this time it's Sean Patterson, a senior. Thought he might not play, and he's playing against the All-American Elliott, making the sack. The first of dividends. Robbins roots it high. Sports, the Sooners and the Razorbacks are matched up in the Orange Bowl, and of course all the festivities down there. They're wonderful halftime. Don Criqui and Bob Trumpy standing by for the report from Miami. Oklahoma and Arkansas. The Sooners denied a national championship by Miami, the team that you'll see tomorrow night on NBC. Front team midway through the 4th quarter, deep in their own end. Darrell Harris for a couple. Arizona State has not lost the ball on a fumble or an interception today, and that has been typical of the Sun Devil team all year.
John Cooper talks about error-free offensive football.
Harris.
Broadcast of the Rose Bowl and waiting for our chance to get on.
Fair catch by Campbell at the 22. So Michigan, trailing by 7, has the ball with plenty of time. 2 timeouts left and 2 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. And here comes the Michigan crowd.
There is a response on the other side by Arizona State's partisans, who are exhorting their defense that has played so well here in this second half. This may well be the last opportunity for Michigan's offense. If they don't get something going here, Bo may go home with another loss in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, he's got the top percentage passer. If you combine the last 2 years, this man has been the best in college football. He goes to Gerald White. And White is to the 34-35-yard line. Skip McClendon made the tackle after a 12-yard pickup. White from Space Coast Country in Florida, Titusville. McMurtry stabs it at the 50.
Dick, one of the things I love about college football is that 2-point conversion. You get down there, it's not an automatic 7 points. You've got a chance to go for the win, and I got to believe in this game, Bo would do exactly that.
To Jumbo John Elliott. No, not Elliott, number 74 to the 49, where it'll be 3rd and 11. Larry McLaughlin made the stop. Now going back to that play by Steven, he made the blind hit. The ball was there, and Hussar saved disaster for Michigan. They're still alive with the ball. 3rd and 11 and 1 minute 30 seconds left. Another Big Ten defeat, trailing John Cooper's Sun Devils from Arizona State in their first ever Rose Bowl appearance. It's 22-15. 3rd down and 11 at the 49-yard line for Michigan. To the 44, that's not enough for the first down. Jamie Morris will bring up 4th down and 4. Stacey Harvey made the tackle. The clock is running.
Harbaugh asking if they want a timeout. Bo says no. Go for it now. They'd called 2 plays in the huddle, and here's the second one. Jokic on the wrong side has to go outside, eating the clock.
Now they're going to have to call time here, run into a penalty. There it is.
Harbaugh, or is Harbaugh saying he can't hear again? I think Harbaugh is saying he couldn't hear again.
Whatever, that was a very alert play by Harbaugh, although they're showing a timeout off the scoreboard here at the Rose Bowl, indicating that Harbaugh had to use a timeout. It might have been well spent.
I don't think they
left.
signaled a timeout, though, Dick. I think he said he couldn't hear, and I think they gave it to him.
Nevertheless, it's 4th and 4. Michigan needs 4 yards or more, or Arizona State gets the ball and the game, probably. Intercepted. Robbie Boyd for Arizona State, and it's a Sun Devil maroon and gold across the way. Donate a total of $2,000 to the General Scholarship Funds of Arizona State and Michigan. Congratulations, another Rose Bowl game well played. Van Raphorst in the final measure out quarterbacked the All-American, the All-Big Ten player Jim Harbaugh, and Arizona State rallying from 15 to 3 down. Apparently has handed Bo Schembechler his 7th loss in 8 Rose Bowl appearances. Timeout, Michigan, with 51 seconds left. Of the Arizona State Sun Devils, Coach John Cooper. 51 seconds left. Michigan is out of timeouts. It's academic now as Van Raphorst sits it down. I want to thank those who have helped us in the booth. Chuck Panama, Arthur Hoffman from Arizona State, their assistant SID, Mark Brand from Muncie, Indiana, and from Dearborn, Michigan, Mike Murray, the assistant SID at Michigan. Thank you, gentlemen. Our entire crew.
We talked about dreams, and I asked John Cooper, I said, is this a dream come true for you? He said, hey, when you thought as long about being a head coach as I have, you get a chance, you look to get into a game like this. He said, here we are. This is a dream already, and this is the capper to go out of here victorious. On the far sideline, he's been exhorting those fans. They don't need much help. A minute ago, joined by Russell Nelson, the president of ASU, and Charles Harris, the athletic director. They all have to be bursting with pride.
The Pac-10 has won again. 6 in a row. Only 2 Big Ten wins since 1970. The final 22-15. The dreams on the Michigan sideline, nightmarish once again. And we'll return to Pasadena for a comment from the winners. And quarterbacks visited Miami, University of Miami. Vinny Testaverde, Bernie Kosar, and Jeff Van Raphorst. 2 went to Miami. 1 went to John Cooper in Arizona State, and there he is, Jeff Van Raphorst. Bill McAtee is with him.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you very much.
How big was the touchdown just before the half?
Well, that was a big play. I think the bigger play was the 3rd down play. Jeff made a pass, threw a pass with a guy right in his face, just unbelievable. This guy right here won the game for us. Jeff and our defense. You can't say enough about our defense, particularly in the second half.
You seem to have a little trouble early on in timing with the receivers. Did you make any adjustments early?
Well, you know, we had a broken route down here that almost got picked off in the end zone, and you know, we made a read route on it, whether he goes in or out, and he went the wrong way, and I threw it in, he went out. You know, just a timing deal. What we practiced in the first quarter took what we practiced all week, they didn't really do, and so in the first quarter it took us a while to get adjusted and get settled down and get things screwed in. Once we got that, then I thought our pass blocking picked up a lot, and then we were able to run the ball more efficiently also.
You've come a long way since starting the season unranked, Coach.
Well, we have. We beat an excellent football team today. This is a great Michigan football team, and we had to play our best ball game. Like I said, we played defense like we did in the middle of the season, and our offense got untracked. The offensive line gave Jeff plenty of time to throw the football, and greatest victory I've ever been associated with, no question about it.
And you both gave us a terrific game. Thank you both very much. Congratulations.
Coach Cooper, Coach here. Hi, I say hi to the Whitneys. All back in Ohio, my relatives. Yeah!
Let's go back upstairs, Nick.
Thank you.
The happy Arizona State Sun Devils. It's the Pac-10 again, 6 in a row and 12 of the last 13 over the Big Ten, 22-15 for Merlin Olsen. This is Dick Enberger. Thanks to Joe Costanzo. That's it for the 73rd edition.